and welcome to the Gotham Outsiders, your Batman book club, draining underwater rooms, all for one cup of coffee. I'm your host, Bat Obsessive Chris, and decorating all his leisure wear with seashells, it's my co-host, TJ.
Hi, everyone. I am your Chris proclaimed Batman acolyte.
Yes, and are you an acolyte or expert on Aquaman?
Well, I feel like I'm almost ready to graduate from acolyte in terms of Batman. But Aquaman, not so much. I might be even lower than that.
Me too. So this will be fun. And in case you're wondering, listeners, did TJ decide to finally kill off Chris and replace them with a huskier voiced co-host that might let him win at a game? I just have the Rona. That's why I sound like this.
We've all been there.
Sadly. It's very in vogue right now. So but I hear the splish splash of an incoming guest that tells me we're about to be joined by award-winning YA author and notably that comic book geek, Julian Winters.
Hello.
Hello, Julian.
So excited to be here.
I am so excited you're here.
So
Julian, I don't know, you probably don't remember this because I'm sure you meet so many people, but we met very briefly at Book Expo a few years back. You were signing for one of your books, Remy Cameron.
Yes, I do remember.
Remy
TJ.
Cameron?
What do you mean?
Title?
Yes. And I do remember.
Okay. Well, anyway, it was fantastic. You were so nice. And I was like, I've got to follow this guy on Twitter. And, a pandemic later.
Yeah.
We both have been geeking out separately about comics on Twitter, right? And you tweeted about Aquaman becoming and just Young Avengers at different points. I'm a huge Young Avengers fan, so I was like, let's get this man on our podcast. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. It's super cool because I get to do like book stuff. But when people like actually reach out to me about comic book stuff, I feel like I'm being like indoctrinated into something like great. Like someone's letting me into the Hall of Justice or something, and I'm not supposed to be here.
Everyone's supposed to be here in our back cave, so
for sure. And Julian's books are fantastic. If you haven't read any of them, please check at least one of them out. They are so fun.
Yeah, and once you check one, you'll read all of them. So
fingers crossed.
So would you like to play a game?
Are you Jigsaw now?
Why did I sound like Jigsaw?
Right? I was like, wait a minute.
Am I allowed to say no?
You're not.
Opening right
you have to either cut off your leg or no.
All right, then the answer is yes.
We are going to play a very fun game of Would You Rather.
Ooh.
Yes, and you both have to answer Would You Rather and give your explanations as to why. I'll award points as I feel like it.
Oh.
That's how
Okay.
Very fair, very rational game that's about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So we read Aquaman the Becoming. So our Would You Rather game is based on Aquaman the Becoming. So our first question is, would you rather work in the land cafe with Davi or in the fish cafe in Zebel?
I have an answer.
Yes.
I would work with him. I don't know his name apparently, but I know he is super hot. And I would work there in a heartbeat because he's beautiful. That's a very shallow answer, but
he is beautiful.
I am working with Davi also, but I'm doing it because I'm very much like Jackson's mom, where I want to know what's the real story. What are your intentions here with Jackson? You can't just show up with this sparkly smile and this great flirt game and not make me think there's something going on here. I'm doing it for espionage reasons.
Those are good reasons. And if you steal him out from under,
no. I think Jackson's very, I might just because I think Jackson should be with someone else, but that's a totally different.
Yeah, Jackson has. Is it Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah, they're busy together. We can have.
I need that to like happen.
Yeah, Davi, we can share him.
Who knows? He might be interested in a little throuple. It'd be cute.
Oh, I didn't even think. I always miss out on the throuple idea.
Yes, always troubles are always possible, TJ. Come on. All right. Would you rather train in Batman's Dark Side simulator or babysit Arthur and Mira's baby? Before you answer, I feel the tasks are equally tough.
Could I prepare for the babysitting by doing it in the simulator?
Probably. That's like the level before Darkseid.
I'm gonna go with the simulator because it reminded me of the Danger Room from X-Men, and that's my vibe. So I would want to experience that.
Yes. Julian?
I am not going in the well. Like that whole simulation, I was like, why? Like, why? Every step was more complicated than the last. And because I have like nephews and a niece that have all been around that age, I think I could handle like babysitting Andy. At the same time, she starts working that magic and those powers and stuff. I might just jump into the well.
Yeah. Like, why was there a tidal wave that hit your city while I was babysitting?
I turned my back for 1 minute.
I said she couldn't have some more candy, and then all of a sudden.
I love kids, but that age specifically, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be left alone with a toddler or a baby right now.
You want to skip right over, have baby, then skip over until like 8 years old.
I'd rather face the scary Danger Room, supposedly.
Like, tell me your intentions up front. And I don't feel like Andy's at that verbal stage where she's going to tell you that she's about to create a tidal wave.
I love it. I love it. Okay. And finally, would you rather be raised by notoriously bad father Batman or or be the mentee of Arthur?
I don't know, because Arthur was pretty MIA. He popped up at the end and was like, hey, I came as fast as I could. And it was not fast enough.
Yeah, sorry, I had my do not disturb on my phone. I didn't get this message.
I gotta go with Batman, but that's probably just because I know more about Batman, so I'm inclined.
It's fair. It's fair.
I'm going with Aquaman because I am too sensitive. I'm too soft-skinned for Batman. He would shred me alive. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the MIA guy. And plus, I feel like Arthur wasn't even that tough of a mentor compared to like Mira and everybody else in Jackson's life. So it's like, give me the easy guy.
There you go.
My mind goes to the Wayne Family Adventures webtoon, and they show Bruce sometimes being kind of like he has fun somewhere deep in him. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, but you're right, Arthur.
You're going to unlock that?
Yeah. TJ's gonna bring that out in him.
Yeah. But Arthur did seem pretty nice in this while he was there, you know.
Yeah, right? Right, when he was there.
Yep, there we go. All right, so that is our would you rather. And you two were pretty aligned most of the time until the end. So I think I am making this a draw.
Oh,
it's fair. I will accept a draw.
There you go.
I'm prepared to lose, so I'm gonna take
the games on this show started as trivia and have turned into, I don't know, whatever Chris feels like today.
And the guest will win unless I completely bomb it.
Yes. Shall we dive into Aquaman the Becoming? You see what I did there?
Yes. Love that.
Love a pun.
Yes.
Yay. So we picked, we already talked briefly about how we saw Julian raving about this on Twitter, how much it meant to him. And I said we had to have him on and talk about it. But also, this is just a part of our Pride specials this June, where we're revisiting some of the very gay stories from DC within the last year. And this is a pretty gay one, guys.
This is a pretty gay one. But Julian, why did this one kind of speak to you specifically?
Yeah.
It was such a big deal when I saw the cover. First of all, that first issue's cover is just beautiful. I don't think I've yet to see another cover that's come out from DC yet where I'm just like, jaw on the floor, heart stop, kind of thing. But it made such a big deal to me. I've always been a Jackson Hyde fan. He's just such a great character, so many things that you're constantly learning about. It's like I don't feel like I know him still, even after this whole series. There's so many parts in there still unfolding, and it's such a big deal to me because he's a Black queer comic character on the cover, like front and center. This is all about him. And growing up, I didn't have that. As much as I love comics, and I was into everything, and I could get a little bit of this here, a little bit of there. But never just had it front and center, the Black queer character right there on the cover, and in such a major time, because it's not like it's like, oh, Aqualad or something. It's just like Aquaman. This is him becoming the next Aquaman. So it's even a bigger deal because now he's in one of those huge title roles that you've seen over the decades. That wasn't queer, it wasn't Black or anything. So it's just meant a lot, and just going into the series, I thought one thing got different, but still such a great thing to have that for young readers to see and feel inspired by.
Oh, absolutely. And it's this Black queer joy on the cover, the first cover too. Yes. He's just smiling. How many superhero covers have anyone smiling on them? Like, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that cover is beautiful. And it had the pride flag like up with the letter. It was just perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your history with Aquaman? And I guess we should say too, because we haven't really talked about Aquaman ever. So
the history that I got introduced to obviously Jackson through the Young Justice series with Calderon.
Yes.
And I love that. And I just remember seeing that and I was like, oh, this is so cool, because not only is he like one of the main characters, but he's actually like he's the leader of the team and everything. And so I've been like super into that series ever since it started. And then I started reading about him in the comics. I started like going into that and whatnot. With Aquaman in general, he's always been like one of my favorite like Justice League DC characters. I know people like to like fawn over the other ones, but I feel like for him it's such a big deal. For me, it's just he's always been such a cool character with just like this great history. I love anything that has to do with like mythology and like the history behind Atlantis and stuff like that. So that's all and a great thing for me. But yeah, just following Jackson, I've done that. And I remember you brought me The Ocean by Alex Sanchez, the graphic novel, when DC reached out to me and they're like, would you like to like, be a reader for this? I was like, oh my God, yes. Are you kidding me? A whole graphic novel starring this character? It's so, yeah, I think it's always been there, but like over the years, it's just grown how much I love and enjoy this character.
Yeah. Did you hear they're making a TV show about that?
Yes, Charlize Theron is producing. I was like, what's
That's
going
gonna be
on?
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I feel like it could be a really good like mini series. Like, I
love
it.
Young
Young Justice too. So good.
Yeah. What's your history, TJ?
Aquaman specifically, I saw the movie once with you in a theater.
We did see that.
Pretty good. Like I was impressed. I went in with no expectations. I was like, wow, that was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Jackson, just like Julian, I was exposed in Young Justice, and it's slowly been getting gayer and gayer as it's been revived. So it's but it was really cool that they brought him into the comics and then made him gay. But I read some of his Teen Titan appearances, like when he first was created, because I was really missing Young Justice at the time. Could not tell you what happened in those because it was so long ago. But then I read You Brought Me the Ocean and now this. So yeah, I know nothing about the Aquaman politics or mythology. So this was like my first dipping my toe into that.
I'm familiar with Aquaman from the old Super Friends show. Like that was my introduction, right? And he was definitely the dorkiest character on that show, but I loved him. And then I kind of just didn't have anything to do with that character for a very long time until our fave of the show, Glenn Weldon. He's Glenn Weldon's like favorite superhero. He loves Aquaman.
I
And
did
so
not know that.
oh yeah, he would talk about him all the time. And I was like, I've got to give this guy a second chance because I just think he talks about fish. But if my hero Glenn Weldon's talking about him all the time, it must be good, right? So I dove into the Rebirth comics, and they're so good, and they're so about this, like xenophobia and these idea of us versus them, and these two cultures and three cultures, because it's like the two underwater cultures and then the land cultures, and then they were also about climate change and all of these things, and Aquaman dealing with the why should I protect the world when it's destroying my kingdom with trash. And it was just really cool, and I was like, oh, there's like a whole very interesting thing going on that everyone's kind of ignoring over here in Aqualand. And then of course watched Young Justice with you, TJ, and love Calder. I definitely don't understand why he has a whole new name in this. Whatever, don't get it. Nobody can explain it to me. It's fine. But I love it. Was it a rights thing? Does anyone know?
I think it's like his human name, and then I'm guessing his name
Jackson Hyde in the show.
No, but I'm guessing in the comics his name is Calder. Right?
No,
I really
no.
They're kind of different people.
Yeah, I think
they have
I
different
agree.
Backstories.
It may
right?
be I feel like it's different. They do have different backstories, though. It feels like Young Justice is kind of trying to like retcon that stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, from the jump, they were like two different kind of stories.
Yeah. I wonder if this is a rights thing, or if it's one of those, like, if we use that name, we'd have to pay that creator kind of thing.
Oh no.
Maybe.
Look, I've learned from Marvel, like we make slight changes so we don't have to pay their original creators, right? So maybe, I don't know. Someone tell us, because we don't know. But definitely him. TJ and I enjoyed the Aquaman movie. I love that water himbo. That was fun. More jellyfish playing the drums. Gotta love it.
So Chris, you just binged Aquaman: The Becoming for the first time. I read it month to month, so I feel like my reading experience might have been different. What about you, Julian? How did you consume this for the first time?
I was month to month also. Once I saw that first cover, I like hit subscribe until I was month to month with it.
Fair.
Yeah.
So I just skimmed it today.
But you've already read it once.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it. Like, what do we think? The pause.
So I think before the show, we were all going, okay, does anyone know what the hell this story was about? And we all were confused. So I think that's where we start.
Okay.
I get the story. I think I went in with expectations of something else than what I got. I did enjoy like this deep dive into the backstory of Zabel and everything, and the history there, and the history behind Jackson's family, all these secrets revealed and everything. But that joyful cover that you get on the first issue is not what you're gonna get by the time you finish issue number 6.
No.
Yeah. Okay, this makes me feel a lot better, because I read the first issue and I remember just being like, whoa, this actually really drew me in. Like, the art's beautiful, loved the character stuff, and I couldn't wait to see where it was going to go. And then the longer it went, the more I felt like I was having trouble connecting with it. And that could just be because I lack the capability to understand all these politics and the mythology. Maybe I was overwhelmed, but all the character stuff I really, really enjoyed. But when we started getting into the larger plot, that's where it was losing me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, yes, exactly. I kind of feel like this was a bridge story, which I didn't expect it to be. It was the way it was posited, it was like it was a standalone like adventure. It's not. It's clearly connecting something I didn't read to something I haven't read.
Yeah.
I'm just like confused.
The Aquaman series.
I do want to read the Aquaman series, to be fair, but I actually don't even know what it's connecting from before. So I'm like, I would love, I suspect if you were reading all the different Aquaman titles at the same time, this would make perfect sense. but I wasn't. So I don't know what Arthur was doing. I don't know where he was that whole comic. I'm not totally sure why Mira's not a queen anymore. I'm really not sure what is going on 90% of the time, but I did like the characters and the stuff that was focused on Jackson.
I thought I missed something.
I don't think so.
Thing about where Arthur was, but
he had a line.
Sure.
He's going to see the Frankenstein of Mars.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that? Who's that? No idea.
Okay. No, I completely agree. Like, I really wanted it to be more standalone and like more new reader friendly, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this book just, a ton of queer people were going to pick this book up and just be like, oh, I want to check this out. And I don't feel like it was very new reader friendly, unfortunately.
I wish it would have put a lot more focus on Jackson.
Me too.
Because a lot of it, while he's in there and he's like almost on every page, it is so much about his family and his mom and his newly found spoiler, but his sister that he didn't know existed, and everything that's happened with Isabel and whatnot, and not so much as like, by the end, yes, you feel like, oh, I guess he's the next Aquaman. But the journey to get there didn't feel like it was the journey that it could have been to show him growing. And I also I agree with you, Chris. I mean, I haven't read before, but I have been reading the Aquaman series. And I don't think it connects.
Oh.
Other than,
Interesting.
Other than further developing what I think they're doing is showing the ways that Jackson is very much like his father, and I guess based on the history that was shown through Aquaman the Becoming, his mother too, which is tapping into that anger and that violent side and whatnot. It doesn't say much else about what happened in Aquaman the Becoming from what I've read so far. It's a whole other storyline going on here, but it is showing more like Jackson. He stopped thinking first, and he's just more reactionary. So I guess it's developing his character along a very long stretch.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah,
the sister plotline, since we brought it up, makes me laugh. Not that it was bad, but it's very stereotypical at this point because they just did the same thing over in the Nightwing title that I'm reading, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's part of the initiation process of taking on a mantle. You have to find out you have a sibling.
Are you even a superhero if you don't have a secret family member?
Yeah,
right.
It's just very funny.
All this time, all these years, they are almost the same age as you, and you're just like, oh, and here they are.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think Jackson got lost in the plot a little bit, especially between issue 1 or after issue 1, somewhere in the middle. Like I would just wanted more of him, and even though he was there, like his presence just kind of felt overwhelmed by the plot. But like when there was a really good moment, like him declaring himself Aquaman and making that ice spear or Triton, like that was such a good moment. And like I just feel like you were saying, Julian, it almost felt like it wasn't earned because it wasn't what it could have been.
We didn't stay anywhere long enough to develop anything, I think was the problem. It was like, run to this, run to that, run to this, run to that the whole time, which I feel like the problem was not using the space well. It was only 6 issues. It needed to get him to Zebel faster or something so that we could like linger in a place and in characters instead of like, I really did enjoy this. So I feel like I sound like I'm being harsher than I am, but I do feel like we wasted 2 whole issues of him on the run that served almost no purpose to the story.
Yeah.
It was 2 issues of him on the run, and then what Mira is doing to help him on the run. It's like, and I'm all for, because Mira is part of Zebel and the history and whatnot. But again, I just wanted so much more focus. And like you were saying, Chris, I agree. With the space was given, it was like big revelation. Jackson gets beat up.
Yes.
Another big revelation. Jackson gets beat up again. Another big revelation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let us absorb some of this. Let us take it in and whatnot. And no, it was just Jackson getting bloody all over.
Yeah. It almost felt like you just said I didn't use the space well. It feels like it could have been 5 issues maybe if it had been condensed a little bit. But like, I don't want to sit here and like trash talk it because I really respect what it's trying to do and the things that it did accomplish. But as we're saying, I do think it could have been better, but I did still enjoy it, and I'm glad I read it.
Yeah, I think a lot of my criticism is coming from I had wanted something so much better.
I feel like it promised us something, and I feel like it didn't 100% deliver.
Yeah, on that promise, I agree. It told a story that maybe it should have been titled something different, because it wasn't necessarily about Jackson becoming Aquaman in a way. But I agree. It told a great story about what conflict and politics and what that creates, and what happens within our own communities, where when we think we're standing up for something, how far is too far, and things of that nature, and like the themes of violence and what we do to accomplish things, and what secrets do we hold, and what dark places do we go to in the name of something great. So those were great things, which could have been like, I don't even know, just called the Zebo story, his story or something. I don't know, but it wasn't Jackson's story again. So great story, don't know how much of it was Jackson's.
Right. It felt like it was centered around him, but it wasn't always about him.
Yes, it was a story in which he had to react to things instead of one where he had agency.
Yes 100% that.
I have to mention, when he is on the run, they show the first place he goes to is the Young Justice like mountain from the show. It's probably from the comics too, but it made me smile.
It was cute. And then he goes to the West Teen Titans Tower, and then he goes to the Flash Museum. I laugh every time I see the Flash Museum. It's one of the campiest things in all of comics, and it brings me such joy. I love that it's a superhero safe house. Didn't know that. Love that.
I love the appearance of the Purple Ray. I was like, oh, okay, yes, classic stuff. I enjoyed it so much. So there was great parts when he was on the run that I wish we could have kind of, like lingered in and whatnot, and how he's taking all that in. And I do think there was some also great banter interaction in the first comic between him and the Teen Titans. That I wish would have been a little bit more like sprinkled throughout there, just to kind of break up all the things.
It would have been cute if it kind of, if we're just like rewriting the comic we want to have, which I think is what we're doing right now.
Right.
I wish it had been a bit more like Wonder Twins, like the new run of Wonder Twins was. Have like maybe every issue has a like a FaceTime chat with the Teen Titans as like the frame device of it or something. Like, hey guys, here's what's going on in my life right now, and like, and you just hear random snippets of what they're doing too. I think it would be really cute. Like one of them's like, I just fought Starro, but yeah, your thing's important too. Like just.
Oh, you have a sister? Oh, okay. Tell me more.
A sister? Is she hot? The Beast Boy, shut up.
I was curious about Hawaii because I've seen him, like he was on a DC Pride cover, I think last year, and it was really pretty. And then of course I read this and I was just like, okay, he pops up in here. Obviously he was established beforehand, and I felt like I was missing something. So mid my skimming of this book today, I Google Hawaii and check the DC wiki page.
Yes.
First of all, his first appearance was only like 9 or 10 months before this one. But what made me laugh is the very first line on his description is, Hawaii is a friend Jackson made, blah, 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 blah. And then I scroll down and right away there's an image of them just making out. And I was like, oh, they're just friends. They're good friends.
Yes.
Such good friends. They hug with their mouths.
I feel like, I don't know where I saw this. I don't know if it's for an upcoming DC Pride issue or if it's for one of the, because the series had alternate covers. I feel like one of the alternate covers was of Jackson and Hawaii, just like floating in the water, like
There's like a rainbow fish or something.
That's upcoming, right? That's one of the ones that's
maybe it is upcoming. I can't remember.
Okay, well,
but that's definitely the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Yes.
For two characters who have made out before and obviously have some kind of I don't know, some kind of feeling there. It would have been nice for his appearance throughout this series to have been like, okay, more than, hey, I just want to update you on what's going on. Like, no, like, I'm concerned about it. Yeah.
They should have had another kiss. Like,
right?
Why was there not a kiss? Come on.
Something.
Yeah.
You bring in Davi, you got away, and Jackson kisses nobody by the end. I'm not saying a kiss, but I'm saying something.
You're saying it's homophobic. I get it. No, I hear
it. Don't give me these little snippets and not like give me like the meat of it.
Yeah. I was gonna say not every queer story has to be a romance, but this one does. We want it to be, so make it.
Even if it is just a friendship thing, it just felt like their interaction could have been even more like emotional.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. And they were like holding hands near the end, like just go all the way. But I do like that this is a story where they're like, okay, this isn't about being queer. He just happens to be queer. Yes. But also, as we're saying, don't skimp me on the gay.
Right.
PDA. Still give me that too, though.
Yeah, it's a balance, right? Like, yes, we want stories where people just happen to be queer, but you know, having just a line that indicates it is not enough either.
Or at least explore that. What is this like for him stepping into this role? I mean, you can have stories where it is not about queerness, but you can't remove that from the way that we navigate the world and the way we navigate societies who have not typically I'm not gonna say not being queer friendly, but not queer focused.
Right. And how amazing would it have been if like one of the million times in this comic he's getting lectured about protesting and violence, he's like, I am a Black queer man. Like, you stop talking to me about protesting and violence. You know, if he'd talked about his experience at all, I think it would have been really powerful.
But again, great series. Loved it.
It is. I feel like we're just a little, we wanted more, right? We wanted it to be more than it was, which maybe isn't fair, but also they did put it out in Pride and put that little Pride logo on it. So,
and just because we know going forward, it's not going to be a series solely focused, like the Aquaman series is not just about Jackson anymore. Now it's about him and Arthur, and Black Manta to some degree. So if we're just going to give this limited run, let's give it.
Yeah.
So like, okay, let's say I'm a new reader. I've never heard of Jackson before. I don't notice the Pride logo on the front cover. I pick it up. Besides that scene in issue 1 where Davi is like a plot device to show that Jackson is gay, like, I don't know if I would have even known he was gay up until, you know, they're holding hands in like the end of issue 5 or 6 with Hawaii. But I don't know. Yeah, like as we're saying, it's a fine line to walk between making it normalized, but then also not excluding that part of his identity in the story, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we loved it.
Definitely.
Like, I don't know.
Like for me,
mixed feelings, I guess is what it is.
At the end of our podcast, Julian, we usually say, well, how did we feel? What would you rate this? And I feel like we can't really talk about this one without revealing how we feel. And for me, I'm kind of like, I love what the book is about and what it does, but I don't know if I loved it overall. And that's like a very hard two things to differentiate in my mind, I think.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way. It's hard. It is hard because I feel like I'm being mean to it. That's the feeling I'm having at the moment, but I just don't feel like it delivered.
Right. And then anyone who did love this and it worked for them completely, like, I'm so happy for that person. And I'm glad that you have this comic. And like, even if it didn't completely work for you, I'm still glad you have it. But yeah, like,
I know that you're being genuine, but I love how much of I love that for you.
I do. Yeah. I love that. I love that for you.
It's a little difficult for me because I read the series alongside reading Superman Son of Kal-El. Yes. And to see that juxtaposition of a storyline that can feature queer characters and not be about their queerness, but also still like acknowledging it and being thoughtful about it. that's where for me it's like, had I read it separately, maybe my bias would be as strong.
Yeah. No, it's the same. We actually just did an episode on Superman Son of Kal-El, so the same, right? We're just it's hard not to compare them, which is almost unfair because Son of Kal-El is one of the best comics we've ever read.
Yes. And it's a totally different thing, a totally different universe to kind of explore. And there's so much about Jackson we don't know that I think like they did a good job trying to open up us to those things. But like you said, it's something that bridges past 6 issues. So it's kind of hard. I don't know, maybe it's harder to gauge right now just because we're looking at it this one shot. And there's more to Jackson's story that I know is just going to get much, much, much better.
Yeah. But I think that's a really good comparison though with Son of Kal-El, because like I picked up Son of Kal-El and read I'll say the first 6 issues, since that's what we're talking about here. And like, I didn't know very much about John Kent. I had read some Super Sons, but you know, I had also read a few things with Jackson before picking this one up. And I felt like I knew John Kent at the end of that 6th issue way more than I knew Jackson in this. And I think that's just because the focusing on character was much more in depth in Son of Kal-El, and that's my thing. So I same as you guys, I loved that one. And it's interesting because it's also a good example of Tom Taylor, who is, as far as we know, and has not said he's not a queer writer, but he does so much for representation and goes out of his way. And I believe this book, Aquaman, was written by a queer creator. So it's so I'm pretty sure. I've read an interview somewhere. But so Chris and I get asked this all the time of like, well, how do you feel about stories that aren't being told by queer voices, even if they're good? And it's like, well, you know, like we all loved Son of Kal-El, and it did a very good job. And not that this one didn't do a good job as well, but I think I could argue that Son of Kal-El did a better job with queer representation, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm rambling, but I just
that made sense. That made sense. I was just pondering that. Because it's hard not to compare them, because Son of Kal-El feels like an inherently queer story about power, about hiding, about being yourself and things like that. And like we were saying, there are themes here that could have been inherently queered that weren't. I don't know.
So if you're a straight person listening to our podcast, you too can do really good queer representation, and you don't have to be queer. Like, and we love it. We still love it.
Yeah. So should we talk about some of the good things we did love?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to kind of hit a little bit harder on this theme of violence and protest and things like that, because I do think it was the most interesting thing happening in the story. What are some of your thoughts on it, you two?
I thought it was really great. I thought it showed this wonderful kind of look at the things that we do to protect our community, to protect the ones that we love. And it's awesome. I really love anything that really dives into what makes you a villain and how far is too far. Because in one person's eyes, the simple act of protesting is too far. In another person's eyes, what Jackson's mom did, okay, that's where the line is drawn. And then you can go as further as what Mika did, and what what other people did. And I love exploring things like that, because it really is a matter of it's a matter of perspective, but also I think this book did such a good job at showing how even the things that we think we're doing that are right aren't. And sometimes it takes someone else making us revisit that moment to think about it. And I think that he did a great job with it. I really think they did a great job with Jackson's mom. I loved her. Yes. She was amazing throughout. Mistakes, messiness, and all.
Yeah. No, I super agree on that. I think it is interesting to read this right now with everything going on in the world. And just this idea of it's all centering around the speech that Mira's going to give. And is she going to reunite everyone with a speech? And the very valid criticism of like, no, this isn't going to, a speech is not going to do it. you know, her thoughts and prayers are not gonna do it.
Right.
So I thought, I mean, but is that not what's happening in this story?
It is very much, because she is not the center of where this conflict all started. While she is a part of the community, she is also a very privileged part of the community.
And she's not actively a part of it anymore. Like, she's gone, right? Yes. Like, yeah,
she's not here for the after effects of what's happened over the course of time, and yet she's the one that's chosen to give this speech. And that speaks very much to what we experience now, where you have people who are no longer part of the community, who all of a sudden were giving the power to say or to create peace. And it's not you. You are no longer fully engrossed in what is happening to us and how we have to live our lives.
Yeah, and I think that there's so many scenes, like we witness Aquaman and his sister, you know, seeing a police chase. Like, that's a thing that's in this, right? And she's like, this is our lives. Like, you're all worried about giving this beautiful words to us at a town hall meeting, but this is the reality we live with. And none of you in beautiful Atlantis or like peaceful Bayport have to do that. So it was very, I don't know, it was powerful and kind of very of the moment.
Yeah.
All this went over my head, so I'm so glad that you two are talking about this. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm listening and learning. But I will add in here my joke right here. His mom could not catch a break.
She couldn't. The poor woman.
No.
I was screaming at the scene where they're showing that video, and obviously the reveal is about to be that it's not real, right? And I was like, woman, just tell him.
Right?
Say it. She's like, he wouldn't have believed it. Yes, he would.
He wouldn't. They might have been able to have ended all this a lot quicker. You just said something.
Ma'am, you know the reason he believed it was because you didn't disagree.
Right.
And she gets like attacked. They find her on the floor, and then at the end, she almost gets like killed again. But at that point, I was like, man, give her a break.
Let her breathe. She just wanted to have coffee at a diner with her son. Is that so much to ask?
They transferred all the violence that they put on Jackson right on over to her.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Just like me, all she wanted was to interrogate Davi. That's all we want.
All she wanted. I couldn't. Yeah, I don't want to swing back around to things that bugged me, but I did want more from that, like his sister being like, you're so privileged and you have all this privilege. And I was like, that can't be true. He can't. His life is not easy. I don't know much about him in this particular setting, but that cannot be the case. Like,
I think for what I interpreted from it though is that she's saying, just like Mira, he is very much removed.
That's true.
And he is like, he's not living it up where he is, but he is very much, in Atlantis and very much removed from all that is happening and whatnot. So he does have some position of privilege, though it is not going to be ever as great as Mira. It's not going to be as great as Arthur or anyone else. He does have this where outside of like their life underwater, the rest of the world sees him as this great figure and sees and so he is on a different level than she'll ever be, because they'll see them as a violent community, a violent group of people. So that's what I got from it.
No, that makes sense.
And I do appreciate her calling out them, because it is, like you said, very much real in the moment, where we do have people, regardless of race and whatnot, who do have some sort of privilege over people within their own community. And it's sometimes something that they don't recognize, that they need to be called in and said, hey, listen, I appreciate you standing up, but don't forget that at the end of the day, this is where you go and this is where we go.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. I suppose I just didn't see that existing for him in the same way as for Mira, because we don't really see that in the story. And again, maybe that's because I didn't read what came before. Because in this story, all we get is him immediately being like racially profiled, like day one of the story, right? So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess if you have the context in mind that is an unusual occurrence in his life rather than
in theirs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting discussion, the privilege of like, he's privileged in certain ways, but not others. And I think part of, I don't want to say problem for me, but the thing that could have been explored, you know, as we've said, his lack of privilege with sexuality and race in our world. Like, you know, that's something I wish we could have put that in discussion with what the sister was saying. I feel like
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
More reason why he need to get beat up less and having more.
Yeah, come on.
A longer like discussion between them. Now I know you got to have your action in comics, but sometimes no, you could spread it out just a little bit more.
Yeah. Does he have to get beat up at the end of every issue?
Does he have to bleed everywhere? My gosh.
So much blood. Oh my God.
He lost so much blood.
The blood that was like pulling the water. I was like, do Atlanteans have like an abnormal amount of blood? How is he okay?
Something. But like when he put his hand all on the boat, just smeared it. I was just like, oh my God.
I just want to be the poor like people at the marina that find that boat and are like, what the hell happened here?
How many people were murdered here? No, just one.
Just one, and he's alive. He's fine.
Right?
It's okay. Don't worry. He's doing great.
Do either of you have a favorite like moment from the story or multiple? Like what comes to mind?
So as sad as it is, the moment that I think made me feel the most emotions is when at the end, like Arthur and Mira are asking if he's okay, and he's just like, I'm fine. And then you have that like that like 10 panels of I'm fine, and you're just slowly watching fall apart. Oh, it was so good. I definitely cried reading that bit.
That was so relatable and so, I think it was so perfect that they ended it with that, because it does bridge into what comes later and whatnot. But I love that. I also love kind of seeing, it's sad as it is, I love seeing Jackson lose control because it felt like so much of the book was about him becoming this perfect statue-worthy Aquaman. And you kind of see a more human side where, you know, you attack my mother, you frame me, you frame her, like all these different things just finally culminated, and him just losing it. And I loved that, because we need to see that human side of him, because we saw so much of everyone else, like what they were going through while he's internalizing everything.
Yeah, I also really loved all the like flashbacks to the kind of found family moments he has with Arthur and Mira. Those are all so sweet. Like them on the beach is a cute scene where he's trying to build the thing and Mira's playing with little Andy behind them in the water. And it's just all of those. I wanted more of that. Like I loved that.
I would have, imagine, I'm going with our rewrite here.
Yeah,
like,
I love it.
This same story, but 50% of it was just flashbacks of him training and like connecting those themes with the present. Like I just really wanted more intimate character moments, because when we had them in here, I like that first issue I thought probably had the most, which is why it was my favorite. And just like we already mentioned, the Teen Titans call, like just stuff like that really sucked me in. So that first issue for me was like, unfortunately, it just was downhill from there for me, but that's because I loved that first issue so much. And then that moment that I mentioned with him calling himself Aquaman and building the Triton, and then getting that flashback of seeing him struggle to build it, like just made that moment even more powerful.
Even more,
Absolutely. And we can't forget the gay panic scene with Davi. That was
that was good.
That was good. I love all, like cool collected Jackson not being able to get a sentence out of his mouth. That was great.
Like, dude, you just went through a simulation on Apocalypse, and all of a sudden you get put in front of a boy and you're just like, you're done.
Oh God. What do I do? There's no simulation for this.
Done.
Yeah, so where do we rate out of 1 out of 5 batarangs? Or should they be tridents today? Should they be tridents? 1 out of 5 tridents. Where do we rate Aquaman the Becoming?
I was fully prepared to go a little higher, because I thought maybe one or both of you would love it and then talk me into loving it even more. So I was like, I'm feeling like a 3 out of 5. Maybe could have gone a little higher than that, but I think I'm going to stick with my gut and go with 3 out of 5. And just, you know, I feel like that's a good rating. Like, didn't love it, didn't hate it, didn't dislike it, But as we said, like if I could have rewritten a lot of it, I probably would have, just to make it a little more friendly for me as a new reader.
Yes, I was gonna go 3 out of 5 too. So we, in a shocking turn of events, TJ and I are actually giving the same rating. This never happens. We didn't talk about this at all, but I gotta say, like, I almost want to give it an extra point for art because the art is fabulous.
Oh
yeah.
It is gorgeous, beautifully realized, beautifully colored. Like, love it, love it, love it. But it's still just a 3 out of 5. I'm sorry, Aquaman Becoming.
Well, and that was like 5 different artists working on this book.
Really? Because it was so unified.
Right. I was gonna say, like, it mushed together very well. Like one of them was the main one, but then every issue had like a different secondary artist popping in. One of them was Skylar Patridge, who we interviewed last year.
Skylar!
Yeah. But yeah, they all did a great job. Julian, what about you? How do you feel?
So I came in with the 3, but the more that we talked about it, the more I'm gonna go 4 out of 5. And only because I'm taking out the context of it's not what I expected going in, but it still did tell a great story with a lot of great themes that I think aren't often shown in books. So I'm gonna give it a 4. Now, if this Aquaman series lets me down, though, I'm gonna come back vicious with like a 2.
Yes.
But I'm hopeful that all the things that they told and built are going to lead to better things for Jackson. And again, like I said, now that I think about like the different themes and stuff they talked about, well, it's not the things I wanted. Sometimes I have to understand that it's not always going to be what I want. It's fine. I'll just write fan fiction. I'll just write some fan fiction.
Write some fan fiction, please, and send it to us because that's what we want. So it's not the comic we wanted, but it's the comic we deserve. Is what you're saying.
We go.
So what I'm hearing is you need to come back on and do Aquaman with us at some point.
Listen, I do, because I've been like heavily invested, hoping for things to happen, and it's not going the way I wanted yet. So,
all right,
I'm willing to talk about this.
We will reconvene.
I heard that it got canceled already, and it made me. Maybe I'm wrong.
At how many? Is it over already?
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yeah, get to the Google.
I can't say something like that to you. And
I'm like in the middle of, is it issue 4 now?
Yeah. DC to cancel Aquaman in July 2022. I heard that like a month or 2 ago.
So it's only going to go to like what, 5 or 6?
Yeah, so like it must not have sold very well, which sucks because the representation of having Jackson and an ongoing like that as the co-lead.
Yeah, and then like and because Black Manta is very heavily involved, it looks like they're trying to mend those bridges, that bridge right there. That sucks, but at the same time, like I said, it's not going the way I wanted, so maybe I can understand.
Fair.
So it'll be over quick, and then we can talk about it.
Oh, no. Another 6 issues, I guess. Yikes.
Yeah.
Justice for Jackson. Gosh.
Jackson. Yeah. Give Jackson a good book. Give Jackson to somebody. Who do we want to give Jackson to? I don't know. Maybe Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor, write a Jackson story.
Maybe his TV show will blow up, and then he'll be everywhere, like Miles Morales.
If his TV show goes well, they'll definitely give him at least another ongoing. That would be cool.
Yes, and if I'm not saying DC, if you're listening and you want someone in the writer's room, I'm just saying I've been dying to write a Jackson.
Yes. That's what we need.
So. Chris and I are saying it, not Julian, but Chris and I.
Give Jackson to Julian Winters. Hashtag. Let's get it out there.
Well, that
hashtag justice for Jackson and Julian.
Yes.
That segues perfectly into our question that we ask everyone, which is if you could tell any story with no restrictions in the world of DC. So like a lot of times we phrase this for Batman specifically.
Yes,
but since we're talking we're talking all DC this month and today specifically Aquaman. So if there's like a story you could tell, what would it be? What's your ideal one?
Oh gosh, my ideal one. Obviously it would be Jackson, but I definitely think I would explore Jackson, I would love to see Jackson and John Kent. I think you get a little taste of that in The Son of Kal-El. I love this work just because John is still in those very early stages of his queerness and coming out and whatnot. And I think having that like bond, that friendship with Jackson kind of lets them explore this. And Jackson being someone who has been out for a while and whatnot. I would love to like dive into that. And also them teaming up, of course.
Yes.
Like, those issues were so good.
Yes, they were so good. Again, you didn't give me enough. But I would love to explore that because it is something I think is very important right now, especially to readers looking for queerness in a world that's trying to really explore that vulnerability and also the power behind it. How empowering it can be to be your most authentic self. Yeah. I think that's where I would go.
I love it. Make it happen, DC. Come on.
Yeah, next DC Pride.
Yeah, right? There you go.
Yes, exactly. I'll take a short in the Pride issue. Come on.
Yeah. And for this Pride special, I've also been asking our guests, who's the next DC character to come out? Who are we gonna get? Because we've got Jackson, we just got Connor Hawke, we have Tim Drake, we have John Kent. Like, who else are we gonna get?
Oh my gosh.
We're coming for everybody. So who's next?
Who's gay and they just don't know it yet?
Yeah,
listen, I don't talk about it enough. But it's secretly I listen. They just need to Dick Grayson. They just need to come on. Stop playing around with it. It is an iconic character. It's also someone who I think it wouldn't have to be a big reveal. It would just be because I just feel like there's something there. So
now I'm envisioning a scene where like Tim Drake is talking about his coming out and Dick just casually goes, who doesn't kiss guys sometimes? And they all turn and look at him.
I never had to come out.
Right? Just like, there you go. Just what's gonna be. So
Dick
I'm
Grayson.
I'm rooting for you, Dick Grayson.
We believe in you and your bisexual ass.
That's my vote. And like they keep coming out with all these thirst traps on the new Nightwing book.
Oh,
and I'm like, the gays are the ones funding that. Like, just give us what we want. Like, and they do a Pride cover the last 2 years for Nightwing. And it's like, you're gonna give me this Pride cover, but not make him queer? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
We know. We see.
Let Julian do it.
I'm yes. The fan fiction might already exist. I don't know. What just comes?
Oh yeah. Chris has written it.
I have. That's true.
Well, Julian, where can our listeners find you on social media? And do you have any projects right now they should be looking out for, either recent or upcoming?
You can find me on social media. Like, let me tell you something. Julian Winters is a hard handle to get on social media. So on Twitter, you can find me at Julian W _rights. I know it's too much, so much. Just type Julian Winters in the search box. I hope I pop up. But on Twitter, you can find me at Winters Julian. On TikTok, I don't know, because I've only made like 3 videos, so I don't even remember what username is on there. So we'll not share that one. Upcoming projects, if you love all this discussion about comic books and representation and how powerful that is, my recent book, Right Where I Left You, came out in March of 2022, and it's very much about comic book and gamers and geeks and pride, and it's the main character is obsessed with this comic I made up for the book, and the most important part to him is that the representation is strong and he gets to see a Black queer character as the lead character, and it really inspires and motivates him. And then 2023, gosh, what year are we in? I have a new book, right? Time is not existent. No. I have a new book coming out in 2023, which I call The Breakfast Club meets Can't Hardly Wait meets Booksmart. It is about 5 teens who are kind of like semi-strangers, and they all end up trying to hide in the same bedroom at a house party, looking to escape issues that they have going on in various ways with people at the party. So
that sounds amazing.
Looking forward to that one. It's called As You Walk On By, which didn't steal from Don't You Forget About Me, but I stole it.
Well, I have to tell you, I work at a library and I sit at the desk all day and I look out. There's a display in the middle of my library, and your most recent book is right on top of that display. It's like best in teen right now. I didn't make that display, so someone else did and put it up there. So just so you
Whoever
know.
did, thank you.
But I would have if they didn't.
Yes.
And I love you for that. Thank you.
We love you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll come back on to either rant about or celebrate Aquaman.
Yes. Anything comic wise, if you ever want to talk about
Absolutely.
it, or gay, or both.
Yes, I am here for all the queer discussions and comic
Good.
books. Let's do this.
Yes, 1000%.
Yay. Well, until next time, happy Pride Month, everyone.
Yes.
Happy Pride.
Thank you for listening to the Gotham Outsiders. You can find me, Chris, on Twitter at The Myth of Psyche, where I talk about feminism, psychology, and Batman, of course. But you can also find me on my new show at Thirsty on Tune, over on the Talking Comics feed, where Bronwyn and I review webtoons and drink wine, and also review romance novels. You can also find me writing reviews at talkingcomics.com, and I am now accepting consulting clients. So if you need someone to do sensitivity reading or consult on psychology or queer identity, I'm your person. You can also find my co-host TJ
at Troyfin2 on Twitter, where I talk about books, gay things, gay books, and all sorts of things, including Batman pretty often, way more than I used to. And I recently became an official librarian, so you can find all sorts of book reviews that I post just for fun, a lot of advanced reviews of books that haven't come out yet. So if you're looking for a nice gay read, please hit me up. You could also find me talking on other podcasts just here and there if you search my name on any podcast service provider that you listen to.
And you can find us both talking about Batman all the time at the Gotham Outsiders. So join us next time. Same bat time, same bat place.